There are around 115 species of pine tree, and mankind plants more of this one than any other. The radiata pine. Every year we saw down over 60 million cubic meters of this softwood to make anything from telephone poles to playhouses. So, how do they do it? Tsitsikamma, South Africa. 200 square kilometers of pristine forest. A magnet for nature lovers and the perfect place for plantations like Cape Pine. Kreosoot Werke has been harvesting them for over 10 years.
We are a family business and I can enjoy this office view every day. It's spectacular.
This forestry company specialises in growing a species known as radiata pine. This softwood covers 4 million hectares of our planet, and it thrives in this region's rich soil and high rainfall.
The radiata is well suited for this area. As you can see, this compartment is only 23 years old, and the trees have already reached the height of 30 meters, so they grow pretty quickly.
Today, Kreosoot needs to harvest around 200 trees. That's down to lumberjacks like Clement Yankis. "30 meters of tree falls with pinpoint accuracy. And Clement's excitement levels hit warp factor 9.
The sound of the trees is twice falling, and what we're cutting with the chainsaws is nice with me and I'm having fun with it. I love it.
After removing the branches, the next challenge is transporting the trunk to the mill. But trucks can't operate on this steep terrain. The solution is a cunning process known as cable logging. A steel cable runs the length of the slope from top to bottom. Crane operator Veli Maseko runs a chunk of metal called a carriage down this cable until it reaches the freshly cut trees. The lumberjacks then hook chains dangling from the carriage around the trunks, and Veli quickly winches them to the top of the hill.
This machine is capable of pulling trees that are weighing 300, 400 kilos easily, but we are pulling about 2 trees at a time, every 3 to 5 minutes. No other machine can do it.
The trunks are cut to size for different uses. Big ones, more than 6 meters long, will be used for things like telephone poles. The shorter ones are mainly destined for the building trade. A log stacker grabs 2.5-ton fistfuls of timber and loads them onto a transport truck. Each truck can carry up to 34 tons. Once they're loaded, they begin the 20-kilometer journey to the mill. The Kareedouw mill turns over 50 tons of radiata pine into high-grade timber every day. The first step is removing the bark. Martin Felix and his team feed the logs into the mouth of this debarker.
Every day the machine must work. I try to turn 300 poles a day.
Inside, a series of rotating teeth force the wood through a hidden ring of blades. These blades remove the bark and reduce the pole's diameter to whatever the customer wants. The trouble is that these trunks are damp and liable to warp or rot. Drying them under the sun could take up to 3 months. But this custom-built warehouse-sized oven speeds things up by baking 150 tons at a time. Warming it takes massive amounts of heat. So they've built a huge furnace fueled by the bark stripped from the trunks. The heat it generates powers this 8,000-litre boiler. This in turn pumps steam into the giant oven, warming it to a steady 70 degrees Celsius. By carefully regulating the jets of steam, Samuel May controls the humidity inside the oven, ensuring that the wood dries slowly and evenly over a period of 3 days. Once they're dry, the poles are loaded onto a mini train and shunted into a 20-metre long steel cylinder. As soon as the doors are sealed, a preservative is pumped into the chambers under high pressure. This pressure forces the preservative into the wood, and when it emerges 2 hours later, it's water resistant and protected against termites and fungal decay. The mill produces around 9,000 tonnes of trimmed and treated timber each year. It'll be used to make things like fences and furniture in factories all over the world. But this batch is destined for something a little different. Jeremy Buttling runs a company of British carpenters who specialise in bespoke outdoor playhouses. It takes 4 hours to assemble the pre-cut pieces of timber. But he leaves the toughest part to the parents.
The most common problem parents ring me and ask me about is how do I get the children off it when it's bedtime after we've put it up.